let me take you around the world, where the stories of the day are as dramatic, heart-rending, and illuminating as ever. I'm Alvin, your guide to what matters, and today we're crossing continents, diving into conflicts, tracing the contours of justice, and finding glimmers of hope even in the darkest hours. Imagine, for a moment, the skies above Ukraine. Last night, those skies were filled with the roar of hundreds upon hundreds of missiles and drones, unleashed in one of the most intense aerial assaults since the war began. Nearly 700 deadly objects, each one a ticking reminder of the fragility of peace, rained down across cities and countryside alike. The stories emerging are devastating. Dozens injured, emergency rooms overwhelmed, communities shaken, and most tragically, 4 lives lost. One of them a child, just 7 years old. As the sun rises, we hear of hospitals struggling to keep the lights on, families huddled in uncertainty, and a nation once again facing the unbearable challenge of resisting aggression on a scale that, for many around the world, is almost unimaginable. Yet, despite the destruction, stories of resilience emerge, of volunteers, of neighbors helping neighbors, of quiet acts of defiance and determination. The world watches, sometimes in horror, sometimes in admiration, but never with indifference. Now let's step away from the Eastern European plains and travel over the Atlantic to the vibrant, sun-drenched streets of Rio de Janeiro. There, a very different kind of tragedy has unfolded, one that is, in its own way, just as heart-stopping. Brazilian authorities launched what has become the country's deadliest police raid in history, targeting a drug trafficking gang in one of Rio's neighborhoods. The death toll, as of this morning, has reached a staggering 121 people. Let that number sink in. Behind each figure, there are stories of loss, of families torn apart, of a city caught between the fight for security and the deeply human costs of that struggle. Rio's skies, so often the backdrop for carnivals and celebration, are shadowed today by grief and by urgent questions about the balance between law and order, justice and safety, the images, the voices, the sheer scale of the loss. These are the stories that remind us that security is never simple and that the price of peace is rarely, if ever, evenly shared. While tragedy stalks one part of the world, in another, young people are marching for a future they believe in. Thousands of protesters, mainly young people, have set out from Belgrade, Serbia, on a 2-day journey, a pilgrimage almost, to honor those lost in the deadly canopy collapse of last year. This isn't just a protest, it's a statement about who gets to lead, about the vitality of youth, about the hope that the next generation can and will demand change. There's something deeply moving about marches like this, the rhythm of footsteps, the chants, the banners, the quiet conversations along the way. For 2 days, roads become corridors of conversation, of memory, of aspiration. In Serbia, the youth are not